All right, welcome back at 7:45. This year across Missouri, schools have looked a little different. You'll see a lot more students looking up instead of looking down since many are banned from using their phones. So the new law was signed by Governor Mike Kehoe over the summer, and it requires districts to set a policy prohibiting students from using their phones unless it's an emergency or required by a teacher. So that's why it's super important your kids know how to just break away from technology while they navigate this new normal. We have an expert joining us this morning to give you the best tips to do just that. He really is the best in this. Bill Bass is the Innovation Coordinator at Parkway Schools. Thank you so much for getting up a little earlier than usual for you.
Certainly, I'm really happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well, first off, how do y'all feel inside Parkway Schools that kids are responding and navigating to this? Because this is really new for them.
Yeah, it really is. They're definitely finding new ways to connect with each other, and for so many times they spend their time, connecting digitally, and that's great. There's actually not a problem with connecting digitally, but having that interpersonal, being able to have conversations and eye contact and things like that, kids are finding new ways to do that. And they're playing cards at lunchtime, and they're passing notes in class like I did once upon a time back in the day.
I got in trouble for doing that.
Oh, absolutely. And so now it's changing kind of changing the dynamic of our schools and the interactions that kids are having with each other.
So you just mentioned some of those positive results, which is great, playing cards again and all that stuff. Are there any concerns or setbacks you've seen from this?
I guess the biggest thing that we talk about in terms of setbacks, I suppose, would be that we're not preparing kids for an authentic experience in their lives.
Okay.
Like how do they know when is appropriate and when is not? Are they getting that outside of school? We spend a lot of time talking about appropriate use and all that. And when that is kind of taken away, then we don't have those kind of opportunities, or don't have as many of those opportunities unless we're really intentional as educators of connecting with kids and talking to them really intentionally about their use of devices.
So it's almost like making sure students know how to put your phone away, because at work in the real world or even in college, they're not going to tell you to put it away. Absolutely.
The self-regulation piece,
right?
The ability for them to make decisions about when they don't use those devices and their phones, and all of those pieces come together, and we really don't. We're kind of taking that opportunity away, which is okay, but we do have to find that balance.
And so talk to us a little bit about digital detoxing. What exactly is that?
So basically, digital detoxing is when we intentionally decide, we need a break. We need to just hold tight with our devices and with our connections, and we need to find that way that we can determine when and where we use these devices. And so digital detox is, I'm going to put this aside, and I'm going to find something else to do. And I'm going to do this because I know I need to. So it's a part of digital wellness. It's a part of our mental health these days. But it really does, when we intentionally decide that we want to hold back a little bit from these devices and these connections, and kind of go outside, or notice different things around us because we're not buried in our phones. That's really the benefits of digital detox, but that's really kind of what it is as well.
And for anyone listening then watching this morning, what are some things they can do right now to help their kids with that process?
Well, the first thing, and probably the biggest thing that I always talk about with this is not a punishment. This is not something that I'm doing because you did something wrong. It is an opportunity for us to do it. And really, as adults and as parents, we need to do this with our kids, not in spite of our kids.
Right.
Or to our kids. And so, finding that dinner time, we're not going to have our phones. And we're not going to have the TV on. We're gonna disconnect. We're gonna have a phone-free weekend, maybe. But we're all doing it. We're all deciding, as a family, this is what we need to do. Let's not have our phones in our rooms at night. Let's have a charging station.
Yeah.
And a lot of kids are like, well, I can't because I have to have my alarm. Well, they actually do make.
They
still make real alarm clocks that can be right beside your bed, and we can turn those off just as easily as we can turn off the ones on our phones.
Well, and it's interesting. My parents had a rule when I was growing up about no TV on and no phones. I had to put my phone away before I went to bed. So I think it is really important. Final question before you. You've been so great. Is there anything y'all are doing as a school district to help kids with this transition?
Well, we're really trying to give them alternatives, and so that's where the cards come. That's where the in our classrooms. We're trying to be sure that they still have the same kind of experiences, the learning experiences, but kind of void of those phones. So we give them Chromebooks, we give them other devices, and we still have a digital environment. But we just don't rely on their personal devices in order for them to be successful in our classes.
I know that there's been some mixed reactions, but I think this is really important for kids to learn.
It really is important. It's one of the things, that self-regulation piece follows us our entire lives, and it's something that we really need to be able to do on our own without somebody else telling us when to do it and how to do it.
Definitely. Thanks so much, Bill.
You're very welcome.
We
Thanks
appreciate
you.
it.